Hi everyone, Falore Ayobami. In today's video, we'll be talking about MySql Query and search functionality. The introduction. Before the advent of search engine, users had to search manually through dozens or hundreds of articles to find the ones that were right for them. Nowadays, in our more user-centered world, we expect the result to come to the user, not the other way around. The search engine gets the computer to do the work for the user. We know MySQL to be a very popular database among Oracle, among MongoDB, among my SQLite, among IBM DB2, among Redis. MySQL is very popular among developers and it is mostly used among developers. Then we have the full text search. The full text search is a functionality in MySQL that lets users to run full text queries against character-based data in MySQL table. Before we can enjoy the functionality of the full text search, or the full text search, we have to create a full text index on the table that we want to perform our search. The full text index can include one or more character-based columns in the table. Then we have three types of full text searches. We have the natural language full text searches, the Boolean full text searches, and the query expansion searches. The natural language full text searches. Natural language full text search interprets the search string as a free text natural language and no special operators are required. Full text searches and natural language searches if the in natural language mode the file is given or not. Match function searches a string against a text connection, a set of one or more columns included in a full text index for each row in the table. Match returns the relevance value, that is, a similarity measure between the search string given as the argument to against function and the text in the row in the columns named in the match list. Looking at the example of query, the query uses in natural language mode. Select all from articles where search where match title body against database in natural language mode. What this query is trying to what we are trying to perform in this query is that we are trying to search the word database in the table articles using the column title and body. Now this is the result of the query. The query will fetches the columns that has the word database. So all the rows that has the word database, the query is fetching it. Looking at the body of the body column, we have database. We have database tool in the second table. So this is what the query does. Then the second type of full text search we have is the Boolean full text searches. A Boolean search interprets the search string using the rules of a special query language. The string contains the word to search for. It can also contain operators that specify requirements such that a word must be present or absent in matching rules, or that it should be weighted higher or lower than usual in the following query. The plus and the minus operator indicate that a word must be present or absent, respectively, for a match to occur. Thus, the query retrieves all the rows that contain the word MySQL but do not contain the word just square. Yeah, the example query below fetches all the words that has MySQL, but the one that do not have, but the one that has your SQL, it removes. Looking at the query, select all from articles. Yes, in the other example, I let us to realize that the articles should must be the table that we have in our database. We have match title and body. And let me just chip in this before these queries can work in our table. We have to index our table by indexing the column, title, and body in our table. So we have to index it before this query can actually work for us. Then looking at the plus and the minus operator, the plus operator before the MySQL is just we're just telling okay MySQL fetch for us all the words all the words that has MySQL, but remove those ones that has your SQL. So that is what this particular query does. And we are now telling MySQL that oh this particular query should be in the Boolean mode. Yeah, the essence of putting this in Boolean mode is that we are telling MySQL query that this particular query is in Boolean mode. Meanwhile, I forgot to tell us that the in natural language mode we have in the first query um it's not really necessary because even if we don't put this in natural language mode, MySQL will still treat this particular query as in natural language mode. Why? Because either we put it or not, MySQL will still okay. MySQL will just say okay, this particular query is in natural language mode. Then now we have to talk about the Boolean full text searches operators. Before this, I in the last example I showed us, I told us that there are different types of operator that the Boolean full text search can use. And the examples in this example, we made use of the plus and the minus operator. But here we have other operators that the Boolean full text searches can use. We have the greater than and the less than operators. These two operators are used to change the word contribution to the relevant value that is assigned to a row. The greater than operator increases the contribution and the less than operator decreases it. See the example following this. So, and then the second one, the parenthesis group groups words into sub expression. Parentized groups can be nested. Then we have the leading tide, which acts as a negation operator. Then we have the asterisks, which serve as the truncation or wildcard operator. Unlike the other operator, it is appended to the word to be affected. Words match if they begin with the words preceding the wildcard or the asterisk operator. Then we have the double quote operator. The double quote a phrase that is enclosed within the double quote characters matches only row that contain the phrase literally as it was typed. The full text search splits the phrase into words and performs a search in the full text index for the words. Non-word characters need not to be matched exactly. Phrase searching requires only that matches contain exactly the same words as the phrase and in the same order. So the double quote operator is used to search for phrase in our table. Take for instance, we want to search for we put the text phrase in the in our query. So it's going to fetch exactly the words that has text phrase. So it's going to fetch it for us. Then we have the no operator. By default, when neither plus nor the minus operator is specified, the word is subchannel but the row that contains it are rated higher. So even though we may not necessarily put may not necessarily use any operator for the Boolean full text search, because if we don't use any operator, it's still going to be Boolean. It's still going to work in as much we put the in Boolean mode there. So then we have at distance. The operator works on debate tables alone. So it tests whether two or more words or start within a specified distance from each other. Measured in words, at distance operator, for example, match column 1 against word 2, word 3 at 8 in Boolean mode. So the third one of the full text type we have, which is the last one, is the full text searches with queryless passion. Full text search supports queryless passion, and in particular is variant blind queryless passion. This is generally useful when the search phrase is too short, which often means that the user is relying on implied knowledge that the full text search engine lacks. For example, a user searching for database may really mean that MySQL, Oracle DB2, and RDBMS all are phrases that should match databases and should be turned to. This is implied knowledge. Blind query expansion, also known as automatic relevance feedback, is enabled by adding with query expansion or in natural language mode with query expansion following the search phrase. It works by performing the search twice, where the search phrase for the second search is the original search phrase concatenated with the few most highly relevant documents from the first search. Thus, if one of these documents contains the word database and the word MySQL, the second search finds the document that contains the word MySQL, even if they do not contain the word database. So, query expansion involve techniques such as finding synonyms of words and searching for the synonyms as well, finding semantically related words, autonyms, meronyms, hyponyms, and hypernyms, finding all the various morphological forms of words by stemming each word in the search query, fixing spelling errors and automatically searching for the corrected form or suggesting it in the results, reweighing the forms in the original query. So these are all the tools. These are all the techniques used by query expansion. Now, the following example shows this difference. Let us look at the following example. Now, look at the example, select all from articles where must title body against database in natural language mode. Yeah, this example is for natural language mode. Then the second example is the query expansion, and it says that we can select all from articles where match title body against database with query expansion. The database is what we want to search for. Looking at the differences between these two these two queries, we are seeing that in the first query, it only fetches for the words that has database. But in the query expansion, it fetches for the words that has database and the words that are related. So it doesn't only fetch the word that has database alone, but it looks for those words that are closely related to the data we are trying to fetch. Now, we need to talk about the MySQL-like operator. The MySQL-like operator it is also used for searching in MySQL and is very, very, very useful to perform search functionality in our website or in our project. The MySQL operator, unlike the full text search, which searches for the complete search text only, but the like enables you to search for a pattern of a search text. More of their differences will be discussed later. In MySQL, you may not always know the exact value to search for. Sometimes you may want to select rows that match a certain character pattern. For example, all customer whose first name starts with M. Yes, in this scenario whereby we want to search for all the customers in our table that starts with the name M. Yes. Um, like operator is very efficient to help us to get all the data, all the customers that start with M in our database. And this is an example. Looking at this example, this query below, select book name from books. Book name is a column, books is the table in our database, where book name like percentage, this is a percent sign percent operator used before letter E. What we are trying to say here is that this particular query should search all the words that ends with E, all the words that ends with E. That is what this operator does. Then we have MySQL like wildcard operator. Yeah, MySQL has a lot of operators, a lot of some operators, and then the first one is the percent sign, which represents any sequence of character. The second one is the underscore sign represent any single character. The following MySQL examples demonstrate the usage of these symbols. The following MySQL example demonstrates the usage of this symbol. Then the first query, yeah, select book name from books. Where book name, like um the percentage sign, then A. I have mentioned that earlier on. Then what does it? What does it actually do? It fetches all the book name that ends in the letter A. Then the second, look at this operator. All of the book name that begins in the letter S. Yes, it fetches for all the book name that begin in the letter S. Then look at this also. All the book name that whose second letter is A. Yeah, this query fetches all of the book names whose second letter is A. So by using the underscore A, then the percent sign, it fetches all the books names whose second name is letter A. Then we can as well use join query in a situation whereby we have more three or four tables, and those tables as have the relationship, they are related to one another. So we can as well use the join query to actually fetch, to actually join it together and use the like operator to fetch data. The tables are mutually related, and we have different types of join query. We're not talking about that. We have different types of join query, and the different types of join query, they actually do different things. So this particular query, this is the result of this particular query that we have there, and what we are just telling the query is that it should search for all the words. It should search for all the words that start with 7, and then that starts with 7, then with the underscore that is in the underscore, any figure, any figure can be there, then the letter 8. Then so look at the result now. See the result now. So it fetches all the way that actually has 7, just as we described it in our query. Then let us talk about the differences between the like operator and the footer search. What are the differences? The like enables you to search for a pattern of a search text, while the full text, it searches for the complete search text only. In a case, yes, and the second one is that in a case one do not know the exact value to search for, the like operator can be used to select rows that match a certain character pattern. But in the full text search, it involves indexing the individual words within a text field in order to make searching through many records quickly. So in the like operator, it searches all the table to see if the match pattern we provided matches each rows in the table. Whereas in the full text search, it only searches the the indexed columns alone. Then the third one is that it load every database row for comparison, then discards those rows which do not match the given criteria. But in the full text search, searching only takes place in the index table, which doesn't contain the whole table, but just the fields to be searched and primary key. The fourth one, it uses a lot of memory time for query execution. Yeah, the like operator uses a lot of memory, and it consumes query execution. But in the full text search, it uses less resources for every execution for a big database, but it uses more space to create indexes. Yes, in this with this fourth one we mentioned, the full text search means the full text search is very it has high performance and is very efficient, efficient to use. Then the fifth one is that it is efficient for database with not many records. Yes, but the full text search, it is very efficient for database with many records. Yes, the like operator is only efficient for small database that has a few records. But when it comes to large database with many records, the full text search is very very efficient in that regard. Now this will be the end of today's KD. Thanks so much.